Apparently, audio is having a problem. Okay, now we should be good with audio, I think. Fingers crossed. Anyway, this is Jason Bitbender Brink, and I am here to talk about current node governance proposal. Sorry for the late start, guys. I have this really, really awesome Happy Valley arcade T-shirt that I was gonna wear, but when I put it on, my camera freaked the hell out and kept excluding it and then having problems with my background and things like that. I'm gonna get it on here one of these days, but it may take a little bit of time. Okay, so context. So basically, as we move forward with this governance vote, which is about whether or not people should have the option of having their node licenses converted into NFTs, there has been a tremendous amount of discussion surrounding this. A lot of furor and a lot of passion on both sides of the discussion. And so, what I wanted to do is, I wanted to take the time to jump in and have a conversation with everybody about this. I'm going to be pulling comments and questions from the Node tokenization forum in our chat at galagames.chat. So if this is streaming on Twitter or YouTube or wherever else it is that you're seeing this and you're posting comments, I'm not going to see those. I only see what is showing up in the Node tokenization chat. I'll just jump right in, and if you're interested, go to the Node tokenization channel and hit the questions. Go ahead and throw some stuff in there. I'm going to jump in and deal with some questions from Chewbacca already. KYC will be only about those who want to will be only for those who want to convert. Now, in the node governance vote, which I almost feel like I should read the entire text of that article, but I won't. It's linked in the Discord. You can also find it if you go to blog.gala.games. It's the one of the first things that's going to pop up. Essentially, the question is, should people have the ability to turn node licenses into NFTs? That is the whole question. That is the only thing that is currently being voted on. Now, in this, we also laid out potential things that may, keyword there is may, arise in the future. Two of these things were, there may be a requirement for KYC to turn your node into an NFT. There may also be a requirement to burn a certain amount of Gala to turn your node into an NFT. Those are both hypotheticals and not actually part of the vote. They are included there as caveats. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the questions asked by Chewbacca. KYC will only be only for those who want to convert. The answer to that question is yes. You would only have to convert, or you would only have to go through the KYC process or burn Gala if those were things that became part of this, if you went to the process of converting a node license into an NFT. If you did not, everything would continue exactly as it is today. How much burn will it be in Gala to convert? Again, in an entirely hypothetical world, that number is completely up for discussion. And if it's something that the founders node ecosystem is interested in, we would probably very much like to see proposals from people as to, what you guys would like to see. This burn will mean that the distro will be 50-50 as it is added to the general burn and elongating the emissions process. A burn is a burn. So if it basically walks back the total supply, again, there's another governance vote. It's in fact the next governance vote about the emissions and how burns impact them. But as it is right now, it wouldn't do anything. But if the next vote passes, then it would make it so that the emissions is based on total supply as opposed to based on a date. So depending on how that works, and that's a bigger discussion, involves graphs and things like that, it could potentially elongate the emissions process. Do we have to turn our nodes into NFTs or can we leave them account bound? You do not have to turn your nodes into NFTs. It is an entirely optional thing that you do not have to do. Uh, Once they're put up for sale, you will no longer be able to run the node, question mark. So the process, if a node is converted to an NFT, okay, it has to be locked on Jiri. And the reason that it has to be locked on Jiri is because you have to basically guarantee that that license, that NFT that would be associated with the node, does not transfer during the process, during the time in which it is running. So essentially, you have to keep it locked on Jiri to run the node. If you unlock the node and bridge it, then potentially you may be able to sell it on the secondary market if that's a thing that you want to do. But because it has now been bridged over to Ethereum, it is by default not locked on Jiri and therefore not running. If will we have to burn that NFT into Jiri or account to begin running the node? You will need to bridge it back to Jiri in order to run the node because again, you have to be able to lock it on Jiri. Um, so that should be pretty straightforward. And can we burn it to lock it into an account for security? I'm not sure exactly what that means. So Chewbacca, if you're listening, go ahead and clarify there. Rocket Unit. Tell us about the technical challenges in technical development of the node tokenization. Um, so basically, there's a few different challenges here, and a lot of it boils down to how do we want to build out the ecosystem going forward into the future, and what are the components of essentially the way that the license and the verification process works. So when a node is running right now, there's a process that essentially gets pinged that says, does this user have a node license? If the user has a node license, then does it meet the criteria? And then if it meets the criteria, it goes into the distribution. Adding an NFT to this adds a layer of complexity there. It's not a massive layer of complexity, but it is also not nothing. So that's one of the components there. So you have to add in indexing, you have to add in locking, you have to set up a contract that's involved in all of this. You have to come up with a way to turn them into NFTs, themselves. So for example, if it's an NFT, do you number the nodes? Are they numbered sequentially? Are they numbered in the order people bought them? I know that in the channel they had numbers assigned to them. Um, is that how we want to do this going forward? Are there going to be people who are like, oh well, node number 100 is worth more than node number 25,000? Because it has a lower mint number essentially. There are all of these questions that sort of get dealt with as we go through with this process. So those are just a few of the things. Would all nodes have the ability to be transferable to NFTs? That's from the Atlantean. The currently we are looking at founders nodes. There are other types of nodes that are kind of up in discussion. Townstar nodes, one of those. The rest of them we're pretty much leaving open for the time being and not making any sort of commitments or comments on that. Would it be possible to insert a new Web3 public address into the Gala Games account where you would wish to transfer your nodes? So essentially, the question that you're asking here is, would it be possible to put in essentially a Web3 wallet that you would use rather than your existing, what you specifically mentioned, a ledger? You'd want to use a cold wallet. The way that I think that we would probably go about that is you'd probably want to connect that wallet in advance, associate it with your account, and then go through the process to mint, because then it would then mint into that address. Other than that, you could mint it and send it somewhere too. That's also, a possibility. Oh, okay. So Chewbacca's mentions earlier that the burning to an account essentially would be to make it account bound, so converting it from an NFT to a license again. I don't think that is a thing that we would want to do. Possible, but you know, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Is it asking too much that ensure that node owners have 7 days to review a proposal before the actual vote starts, so it can be reviewed, discussed, and feedback potentially provided? Um, is that too much to ask? I don't think it's too much to ask. It's just not the way that this particular proposal has gone forward. Um, I think in the future, I would like to have a bit more time, but at the same time, these are things that have to be put forward, and we have to move forward with the actual proposal itself. And so that's what we're doing in this case. And let's see. If you sell the node as an NFT, what about the secret seed phrase? Those two things are not in any way, shape, or form connected. And let's see. Seneca. But why? I think I think a part of this, and I didn't delete that GIF. I don't know who deleted that. I think that a big part of this discussion about the amount of time to review and the amount of time to discuss and all of that. A lot of this we have tossed out there previously. We had a massive discussion around founders nodes as NFTs about a year ago before we decided not to put it forward for a vote then. Very little is new in this. The only thing that is new in this conversation at all is this idea that there may be a concept such as burning an NFT or burning Gala to initiate the NFT creation process. The KYC was something that's been discussed like ad nauseum in the past. So nothing here is really new. So I did not think that it was going to be something that required a massive lead up. Um, in the future, I can try to make sure that we get some of these articles published a little bit in advance. But then again, publishing the articles in advance, especially when we have multiple things going on, will quite probably redirect conversation in a direction that you don't necessarily want it to go. If we're talking about nodes as NFTs, we should be talking about nodes as NFTs, not, emission rates and things like that. So or not burn policies. That's why we tend not to do multiple, weeks of discussion and forum time on this. What was the point in adding forums then for discussion with only partial details? Once we get the details, there's no time to use them to discuss. We are discussing right now, are we not? Do you have details? Is there a part that I'm missing here? Okay. When will we know more about how Jiri wallets work from Chewbacca? Uh, that's something that I would like to get a published document out before too terribly long, to walk everyone through the process and exactly how all of those are derived. Let's see what other questions do we have. I'm scrolling up now through some of the other things. And by the way, you guys, if you want to vote, you can go to node.gala.com. Let's see. Some discussions about pegging, discussions about whether or not something is a taxable event. I have no idea. That is not a thing that we discuss. Ooh, okay. So this is from a person 123 Discord. And I've never actually seen this person around, I don't think. If I have, I'm sorry, but I've never interacted with them. They have this post. There's understandably a lot of discussion around financials, but I think turning them into NFTs serves a greater long term purpose. Number one, trust. Facilitating liquidity and optionality in the current closed loop would boost overall trust in the ecosystem. Node owners, current and potential, would know that they are not locked in and always have the option of selling, buying nodes. Also, shouldn't be taken as a bad thing or a loss of belief in Gala's vision. I've seen how many people have highlighted personal circumstances and the need for liquidity as a factor to sell off. Web3 principles alignment. As a semi decentralized entity and ecosystem, we want to have people own their assets, which should include even nodes versus holding a lifetime non transferable license. It should be a porous and sovereign ecosystem. If you want to come or leave as a founder's node or operator and owner, no restrictions. I like this. Number three, value. In the short term, nodes will sell for far lower than current purchase price. I see it as a good thing. It allows for accumulation and entry of new positive energy versus forcing even those who have soured on Gala to remain and spread negativity. Also reduces the selling pressure and nodes on Gala long term. Why would someone sell their nodes or Gala at low prices, even if they come in for a new owner at 25K, for example? I think that this is a really good take. And I appreciate 123 Discord for putting all of that out there. And by the way, if you haven't checked out the actual blog post, go to blog.gala.games and take a look at that, because we did make a few minor modifications to make it clearer that this is an optional process. Okay. ETH approved. Is there an estimated time frame for all parts of the system to be set and ready to go? I would say within 3 months. Um, let's see. When chain name, Deb. They will let you know when they want to let you know. I think the consensus desire was for the proposal to drop, have a couple days discussion, and then the vote goes live. So that's actually the way that I want this to go, and in fact, the way that I wanted it to go. Um, with this particular vote, we actually wanted to put this live um, last Friday. We ended up having to not be able to do that until Monday, because the way that the blog is set up with Medium, only one person has access to that particular thing, and that person was not around on Friday. So that was actually originally the plan. Stoke says, "What if Amazon or a whale theoretically buys almost 51% of the nodes?" Highly, highly, highly improbable. Would the node NFTs still be licensed as just an NFT form? Yes, kind of. It's not quite how that works. Um, let's see. Was it you being sick and then the kids being sick? No, it actually wasn't me. I'm not the one who has the ability to control the Medium post any longer. Um, that was a thing that I did like way back in the day, but since then somebody else runs it, and they happen to be on a very, very, very well deserved vacation. What would be the difference between holding it as a license and holding it as a node? No difference. Would the NFT version change how many nodes a person can own? Nope. Don't have any. I don't know why that would change anything. And Seneca, by the way, I don't mean to be hostile or anything like that. I hope it doesn't come across like that. It's just that we do everything we can to get information out there for people, and it's not always easy to field every question and meet all the criteria that everybody would like. So I appreciate you taking the time to come in here and put in your comments and add your 2 cents. What would be the difference between holding it as a license and holding it as a node? No difference. Actually, I think I just added that. And just FYI, guys, I will make sure that as soon as this vote finishes on Friday, we will post the write up for the next vote so that it will be there for discussion for a couple days prior to it actually going live, which I believe the vote for the next one will go live on next Monday, but we'll stick on this one for the time being. Okay, come on. What other questions you guys have? I'll drop over to Gold, see if anyone else has any random questions. Can someone please tell me where Bitbender is getting these questions? There you go, Mountainville. I see that you have been given the answer. Let's see. We had a very interesting conversation in the Gala Gold channel today about, well, actually, a few of them, but about, things like domiciling and companies and, some mayhem stuff. So if you're not a member of Gala Gold, you should check that out. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just say this because if I don't, I think Paul will get mad. Make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, you like and subscribe. And there's a little ding-a-ling bell thing. Hit that too. Okay, back to the node tokenization discussion. Let's see. What positive effects would be brought to Gala by implementing this? The way that we look at this, the way that I look at this personally, okay, my personal take on this is that decentralization is something that is important. It is something that we always need to push for. And anytime there is a centralized point of failure, that's a problem. And it's something that we should, fix. And that's what this is. The fact that, licenses are, not NFTs right now, they're not totally decentralized is kind of a bit of a problem. It's something that I definitely want to fix, and it's something that we need to have happen for the long term good of the ecosystem. Um, the Atlantean hypothetical: why would KYC be required for node licenses? There's a lot of different reasons that KYC could potentially be required in this particular case. It again, it's not a me thing. It's not a whether or not we want to do this. It's a is this a legal requirement or is it not a legal requirement? So the and oh, it just updated your question. He updated the question. Would it be required only if regulation required it, or is it decision at Gala's discretion? It would be if regulation required it. It's obviously a cost to implement. It's a cost to run. Every single time you do a KYC, you have to that has to be paid for. You have to have someone go through and do the verification. It's not something that happens on it's like we are not the ones that do the KYC. We have KYC partners that would do the KYC, that they're third parties where essentially they do the KYC process and then they're like yes or no, and that's kind of what we have to deal with. It's similar to the process that you go through with some of the better exchanges out there. That is not something that we would implement unless it was a thing that we knew that we needed to implement, or if it was better for the ecosystem as a whole in the sense that it de-risked something from a regulatory perspective. But again, that's not a call that we as like, it's not like I'm going to be like, ooh, yay, KYC. It's not that at all. So it's very much just a question of, is this required or not? And in some cases that may be required because, if the NFTs are perceived to be of a certain value, then making them transferable creates, potential AML problems. And so, we already work with Chainalysis we have, oh, what do they call their thing? It's like a know your address thing, so that if a address that has been involved in something that is a sanction problem, then we receive a notification that this address has potentially done something bad, and then we can restrict access to certain elements of the platform. People always have access to go get their private key and things like that, but if we know that somebody is potentially a criminal, we maybe don't want them sticking around too much. So that would basically be the concept. um ooh Question from Chewbacca: is the consideration of Gala burn to ensure the creator's fee is collected? No, it's not. But that's actually not a terrible idea, with the understanding that essentially 50% is going back to nodes, if the emissions contract is voted yes on. The way that I look at burns, and this is across the entire ecosystem, is that burns are something that are good for the founders nodes. The more stuff that is burned, the better it is for everybody who is operating a node in the long term, but then also potentially with the next vote going live, with the way that the halvings get calculated. So if enough gets burned, every time somebody burns something, it essentially pushes back the date of the halving, which is obviously something that people are concerned about. Every year as the halving approaches, the number of DMs that I get saying, "But Bender, stop the halving! You have to stop the halving! Just stop it! Don't have this year." It's not how this works, unfortunately. Um, that's there is always going to be a halving. The question is it a time based or a supply based thing? And with this, the idea is that burns are good for the founders nodes, and the founders nodes are the backbone of the entire ecosystem. Like, none of this would be here if it wasn't for the founders nodes. And that's the basic, that's the basic thing that we're trying to push for here. Okay, let's see here. We've got the little Hell Elmo. It's great. If the vote passes, when is a realistic timeline for people to be able to sell them? Um, I think that we would probably be able to uh, get the NFT portion of things in this year. Would definitely be my hope. Maybe even sooner. Uh, It would be on OpenSea unless somebody builds a secondary marketplace on Geary. And Jay McMoon, glad you think that I'm killing it. I'm trying to provide all of the info that I can. Rocket Unit, I think I just answered your question. Haha, Ed 777. If the nodes become NFTs, does that mean founders nodes owners get dropped a percentage of those NFTs? No, sorry. Uh, let's see. Will there be a cost associated with turning your node into an NFT? That's one of the things that it's up for discussion. Evan Car of Wrath, Car of Wrath, I think Evan Car of Wrath appreciates 123 Discord's perspective. Shout out to 123 Discord. Kill Switch. Not sure if this is something you can answer, but how does Gala perceive the potential regulatory requirements related to KYC? Um, is legality still unclear, or does Gala have concerns about complying with future regulations? We always want to comply with regulations. We're a very compliant company, and we're very careful about how we do things, as much as possible. And in this particular case, I don't know the legality around the nodes to NFTs concept, but we do have people who consult on these sorts of things. Yeah, so that's basically part of that. Maverick, how much would a creator's fee be if someone chose to sell their node NFT? So the creator's fee, I have no idea, and most marketplaces aren't enforcing that any longer. Or they make it optional. But it would probably be whatever the standard is for the ecosystem. So, and then does any proceed of sales go back to the node holders? You mean the ones who are selling it, or just people in general? I would probably say I don't know. Honestly, haven't thought about that. Okay, Nephilim Haas jumping in and turning statements into questions. Will the community have a say in future directing development of whatever process Gala comes up with to convert licenses into NFTs? As much as possible, of course. Everyone, you guys would definitely be as involved uh, as possible. Um, can you explain why KYC is needed? I think I just did that a minute ago, but basically, if it is needed, it would be for legal reasons. I don't know that it is necessarily needed, but if it was, that would be why. Will KYC be enforced for someone who purchases a node NFT? I don't think that there would be a KYC component there. You would have to agree to terms and conditions, just like anyone else using the platform. But that should basically be it. Um, will node owners who tokenize or those who decide not to tokenize ever be penalized for their choice in one way or another? No, I do not believe though. So that is, basically just, it's a personal choice thing. Uh, Risk reward says in the past you mentioned a 25% royalty creators fee, a large amount. Why is now it isn't late? Why now is it like an idea you never thought about? I didn't say I never thought about it. It's just we don't have a set number on that. And again, like I said, most marketplaces don't actually have the ability, or they don't enforce that as much. So and what happens to the unsold ones? 7K of those. Those the current ones that have not yet been sold. That's very much up for discussion at this point in time. There's been talks about turning parts of them into a DAO. There have been talks about allocating them to different projects within the company to run. There have been a few different uh, few different things that are floated, but um, nothing that is set in stone at this point in time. I personally, excuse me, I personally like the idea of turning them into a parts of them into a DAO. I think that would be good for the ecosystem as a whole. Hold on one second. Got to stay hydrated, guys. Are there other game studios interested in purchasing nodes? Right now, I think that Seneca wants to start forum posts. Um, Evan Carr of Wrath. Nice. Okay, yeah. Reference to Magic the Gathering. I thought I recognized that. To be frank, asked, are there other game studios interested in purchasing nodes? Game studios aren't really the node purchasing type of entities, really. Um, it's game studios typically more want to focus just on the game side of things. Actually, one of the biggest challenges that we have is basically informing sort of Web 2 oriented game studios about what exactly Web 3 is. So game studios don't just come out of the woodwork wanting to buy nodes because it's not the way that they think about things at all. Yeah, this is my gigantic water bottle. I'm trying not to die. I had a really, really, really bad flu, and now my entire family has it, which is unpleasant. And actually, the reason that I wasn't in Discord on Monday because I was in the ER with a toddler and an infant. And I'll tell you what, there's very, very few things that are more challenging than keeping control of a under 2-year-old toddler the emergency room when they do not want to be there. Holy crap, it was terrible. Wanted to be here in Discord, totally didn't happen. Luis Alejo Vega asks about making the additional nodes NFTs and selling them that way. That's an idea, possible. What about game nodes? Could they be turned into NFTs if the vote supports it? Game nodes, the way that we look at that is actually an entirely separate discussion, and would not require a governance vote. So if one of the games decided to make their nodes NFTs, they could do so. Um, Let's see. I mean, I'm kind of running out of questions here, guys. What do you got? I'm going to pop over to gold again. Let's see. Anything else coming up? Hmm. Yeah, one thing, and I've got the amazing voice of Paul in my ear, is that I highly recommend you check out the video yesterday on Gala V2 and the upcoming token release that you'll want to know about. So go watch that. It's in the video history on wherever it is that you're watching this. You should be able to go pull it up. Uh, Rocky Una asks, is it still in game that Townstar nodes will be the first NFT nodes? We're kicking that around. Excuse me. We're kicking that around right now. I'm not sure which would be first. I like the idea of Townstar nodes being the first because it's a good sort of test for the tech. Um, and I think it's a lower risk proposition because if there's you go with the NFT route and there's some sort of issue and founders nodes go down, that is a potentially more uh this is a bigger problem than if Townstar nodes go down, which obviously isn't good, but it's less of a infrastructure critical thing. Okay, guys. Well, I think we're coming up pretty close on answering questions. Um, Punjab asks, not related to the node vote, but is there a V2 for any other tokens in the ecosystem, say Ethereum? Nope, not necessary for Ethereum or Silk, because those were tokens that were released substantially later and had some of these improvements already in place. Each game decides what to do with their node from Smile and Monster. Yes, that is correct. Okay, guys, I'm going to give it another 4 minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and close it out. And while you're at it, make sure that you check out some of the playtests that we've got going on. I think didn't the Echoes of Empire playtest kick off today? I think it did, didn't it? If that's the case, check that out. That's one of the games that I'm most excited about. I'm really, really, really interested in the how that goes. Space 4X is my jam. Maverick question: besides decentralization and the ability to transfer trade node NFTs, do I see other benefits? I mean, those are the main ones. It's really about choice. It's about user choice and people being able to do what they want with their node. And it's about the decentralization point is so freaking important because you ultimately at the end of the day, what you want is you want an ecosystem that can stand on its own, okay, that doesn't have any centralized authority of any type behind it. And that's what we're building, and we're gradually working towards that. And so that's, to me personally, that alone is enough. Okay, let's see. Scrolling up to see if there's anything else that's been dropped. I think that's it, guys. Okay, well, anything fun planned for May? Yes, there's a lot of fun stuff planned for May. I would tell you all about it, except I would get in a lot of trouble. But there's a lot going on, a lot going on for May. I think you guys are going to be happy. It's going to be pretty impressive, and that's not just May Mayhem. There's other stuff happening in May too. There's a lot of other stuff happening in May that I totally can't tell you about. But okay, guys, I'm gonna sign off. Thank you guys so much. Peace out and have a wonderful day. And I will catch up with you guys all on the flip side.